This is All India Radio. I am Valsa Williams and with me is Anuja Kumar with the Midday News. The headlines. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh asserts the actions of the Chinese troops and attempts to unilaterally alter the status quo on the line of actual control were in violation of bilateral agreements. BRICS nations reaffirm their unwavering commitment to prevent and counter the threat of terrorism on the basis of respect for international law and the UN Charter. President gives away national awards to distinguished teachers, says teachers are the true nation builders who lay the foundation of character building to make students enlightened citizens. President, Vice President and Prime Minister paid tributes to former President Dr. S. Radhakrishnan on his birth anniversary. Information and Broadcasting Minister Prakash Javadekar reiterates the government's commitment to provide more funding for research and innovation. COVID recovery rate reaches 77.23%. And Japanese companies relocating from China to India and Bangladesh to get Japan government's subsidy. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh and his Chinese counterpart General Wei Fenghe had frank and in-depth discussions about the developments in the India-China border areas as well as on India-China relations. The two ministers met in Moscow yesterday on the sidelines of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization SCO meeting. The Defence Minister's office said Mr. Singh emphasized that the actions of the Chinese troops, including amassing of large number of troops, their aggressive behavior and attempts to unilaterally alter the status quo, were in violation of the bilateral agreements. Mr. Singh categorically conveyed India's position on the developments along the line of actual control, including in the Galwan Valley in the western sector of the India-China border areas in the last few months. The Defence Minister stated clearly that while the Indian troops had always taken a very responsible approach towards border management, at the same time there should also be no doubt about determination to protect India's sovereignty and territorial integrity. He said both sides should take guidance from the consensus of the leaders that maintenance of peace and tranquility in the India-China border areas was essential for the further development of bilateral relations and that the two sides should not allow differences to become disputes. Mr. Singh advised that it was important that the Chinese side should work with the Indian side for complete disengagement at the earliest from all friction areas including Pangong Lake as well as de-escalation in border areas in accordance with bilateral agreements and protocols. He further said the current situation should be handled responsibly and that neither side should take any further action that could either complicate the situation or escalate matters in the border areas. Mr. Singh also conveyed that the two sides should continue their discussions, including through diplomatic and military channels, to ensure complete disengagement and de-escalation and full restoration of peace and tranquility along the LAC at the earliest. The Defence Ministry issued a statement that the Defence Minister of China said that both sides should scrupulously implement the consensus reached between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Chinese President Xi Jinping. The minister suggested that both sides should maintain communication at all levels, including between the two ministers. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh met Defence Minister of Tajikistan, Colonel General Sherali Mirzo, in Moscow. In a tweet, Mr. Singh termed the talks as fruitful and discussions included a wide spectrum of India-Tajikistan defence relations. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh had a meeting with Kazakhstan counterpart Lieutenant General Nurlan Yermakbayev in Moscow today. In a tweet, Mr. Singh said he discussed ways to add further momentum to India-Kazakhstan defence cooperation with Lieutenant General Nurlan Yermakbayev. He also held interaction with Uzbekistan's Minister of Defence, Major General Kurbanov Bakodir Nizamovich. Mr. Singh said in a tweet that the defence cooperation remains an important pillar of India-Uzbekistan bilateral relations.
BRICS countries have expressed concern at the rise of violence and continuing conflicts in different parts of the world that have significant impact at both the regional and international levels. The foreign ministers of Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa, BRICS, in a virtual meeting concurred that, irrespective of their historic background and distinctive nature, Conflicts should be resolved by peaceful means and diplomatic engagement through political dialogue and negotiations in line with principles and norms of international law, particularly the UN Charter. They refer to the UNSC Resolution 2532, demanding a general and immediate cessation of hostilities in all situations on its agenda, with the exception of military operations against terrorist groups. India called for boosting cooperation among the five-nation grouping BRICS in dealing with the threat of terrorism. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar stressed on boosting cooperation among the member nations in dealing with the threat of terrorism. In a joint declaration, they reaffirmed their unwavering commitment to contribute further to the global efforts of preventing and countering the threat of terrorism on the basis of respect for international law and the UN Charter, emphasizing that states have the primary responsibility in combating terrorism. China and Russia reiterated the importance they attach to the status and role of Brazil, India and South Africa in international affairs and support their aspiration to play a greater role in the UN. The meeting was chaired by Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov and also attended by Brazilian Foreign Minister Ernesto Araújo, China's Wang Yi and South African Foreign Minister Grace Naledi Pandor. Dr. Jaishankar also highlighted the Atmanirbhar Bharat, an initiative of India, as a dynamic and mutually beneficial global economic engagement covering 5 key pillars, including economy, infrastructure, technology, demography, and demand.
President Ramnath Kovind has said that teachers are the true nation builders who lay the foundation of character building in our sons and daughters to make them enlightened citizens. He said teachers are instrumental in building the character and knowledge of the children. Speaking after virtually presenting national awards to teachers on the occasion of Teachers' Day today, Mr. Kovind said only good buildings, expensive equipment or facilities do not make a school. He said the teacher's dedication is most important factor in making a good school.
अच्छे भवन, महंगे उपकरण या सुविधाओं से स्कूल नहीं बनता, बल्कि एक अच्छे स्कूल को बनाने में शिक्षकों की निष्ठा और समर्पण ही निर्णायक सिद्ध होते हैं। प्राचीन विश्व में शिक्षा का विश्व प्रसिद्ध केंद्र माने गए तक्षशिला विश्वविद्यालय की जब भी चर्चा होती है तो सबसे पहले आचार्य विष्णुगुप्त या चाणक्य ही याद आते हैं, जो पहले वहां छात्र थे और बाद में वहीं प्राचार्य बने।
The President said teachers should be at the center of fundamental changes being made in the education system. He said, according to the new education policy, every possible step needs to be taken to enable teachers.
हमारे बच्चों और युवाओं को भविष्य की जरूरतों के अनुसार शिक्षा प्रदान करने की दृष्टि से केंद्र सरकार ने हाल ही में राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति लागू करने का निर्णय लिया है। यह नीति शिक्षकों, शिक्षाविदों, अभिभावकों तथा विभिन्न समुदाय के सदस्यों के साथ व्यापक परामर्श के बाद बनाई गई है। इस नीति को सफल बनाने में शिक्षकों की बहुत महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका होगी। शिक्षा व्यवस्था में किए जा रहे बुनियादी बदलावों के केंद्र में अवश्य शिक्षक ही होने चाहिए। नई शिक्षा नीति के अनुसार शिक्षकों को सक्षम बनाने के लिए हर संभव कदम उठाए जाने की आवश्यकता है।
Emphasizing on the importance of digital technology in the challenging times of COVID pandemic, President Kovind said that our teachers are taking the help of this technology to reach out to children. Applauding the skills of teachers in shifting to this new technology-driven teaching, he said it is important for all teachers to upgrade and update their skills in the field of digital technology so as to make education more effective and also make the students conversant with the new techniques. The national level awards are given to teachers on Teachers' Day to celebrate the unique contribution of some of the finest teachers in the country. President Ramnath Kovind honoured 47 teachers who have given their significant contribution in improvement of the quality of school education. The President congratulated the winners of the awards and appreciated the steps taken by the teachers in order to improve school education qualitatively. He observed that about 40% of the winners of the national awards were women and appreciated the role women have played as educators. Education Minister Ramesh Pokhriyal Nishank and Minister of State for Education Sanjay Dhotre were present on the occasion. He emphasized on students' relation with teachers.
विद्यार्थी का शिक्षक के प्रति आदर, शिक्षक का शिक्षा के प्रति समर्पण और विद्यार्थी व शिक्षक के बीच अपनापन का भाव, यह एक जोड़ी होती है जो न सिर्फ ज्ञान को परोसती है बल्कि जीवन जीने की कला को भी सिखाती है। मिट्टी को सोना में परिवर्तित करने की कला सिर्फ और सिर्फ शिक्षक में ही है।
President Ramnath Kovind has greeted teachers across the country on the occasion of Teachers' Day. In his message, Mr. Kovind said, Dr. Radhakrishnan, also a renowned philosopher, defined the role of the teacher as someone who acts not only as an educator, but also as a moral mentor and imbues values among students. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu today paid his tributes to Dr. S. Radhakrishnan, the second President of India, on his birth anniversary. In a tweet, Mr. Naidu said, Dr. S. Radhakrishnan was an eminent teacher, philosopher, scholar, statesman and author. The Vice President said his life, work and legacy will keep inspiring every Indian. Mr. Naidu also greeted teachers on the Teachers' Day. He thanked all those teachers who have been working tirelessly through the hardship of the pandemic to prevent academic disruption to students. He also saluted their dedication, courage and their selfless service. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has greeted teachers across the country on Teachers' Day. In a tweet, Mr. Modi said, the country remains grateful to the hard-working teachers for their contributions towards shaping minds and building the nation. The Prime Minister also paid tribute to Dr. S. Radhakrishnan on his birth anniversary. On the occasion of Teachers' Day, the Films Division will screen a documentary on Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan. The 38-minute documentary, titled Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan, President of India, was made in 1966. Dr. Radhakrishnan was an eminent academician and statesman who believed that teachers should be the best minds in the country. Since 1962, his birthday has been celebrated as Teachers' Day on September 5th every year. 2 teachers from Maharashtra are among the 47 recipients from across the country who have been felicitated today by President Ramnath Kovind on the occasion of Teachers' Day. They have been credited for improving the quality of school education and enriching the lives of their students. Some of the initiatives which they took are improving enrollment of students and reducing dropouts, adopting joyful and experiencing teacher learning practices, spreading social awareness among children and encouraging community participation. Our correspondent has more details.
The recipient of the prestigious National Awards to Teachers from Maharashtra includes Sangeeta Soni, a higher secondary school teacher from Mumbai. She has made noteworthy contributions to effective teaching in the subject of chemistry by introducing tools and methodologies to enable students to understand its diverse concepts in an easy manner.
It's a really great feeling to be receiving this award. It's a dream come true after 35 years of working here. I work for Atomic Energy Education Society under Department of Atomic Energy and I teach chemistry. I have made modules which help children to learn chemistry easily and in a fun-filled manner. It's been a very long learning experience wherein I have improved myself in every way possible. I also work with number of organizations as a resource person, and I also design experiments for children who study from home.
The next awardee is Mr. Narayan Mangalam, a school teacher from a Zilla Parishad Primary School in Gopalwadi of Ahmednagar. He is an extremely progressive educator and has created a model primary school. He has also been able to mobilize the community and bring in donations that has led to better infrastructure in the school. Unique contributions of these teachers have not only improved the quality of school education but has also enriched the lives of students. With Madhuri Pange, Kunal Shinde, AIR News, Mumbai.
The Union government today said the country's recovery rate among the COVID-19 patients has reached 77.23%. Around 70,000 COVID patients recovered during the last 24 hours. The Health Ministry said the total number of recoveries has reached over 31 lakh. The constantly increasing recoveries ensured that the actual caseload of the country is reduced and currently comprises only 21.04% of the total positive cases. It said effective implementation of the centre's strategic and graded test, track, treat approach has led to higher recoveries and lower fatality. Currently, India's case fatality rate is at 1.73%, which is one of the lowest globally. In the last 24 hours, 86,432 new cases have been reported in the country. Presently, the total number of active cases in the country is 8,46,000. In the last 24 hours, 1,089 deaths have been reported, taking the toll to 69,561. According to the Indian Council of Medical Research, more than 10,59,000 tests have been conducted during the last 24 hours. The total number of samples tested so far has reached over 4,77 lakhs. The testing strategy also ensured a steady expansion of the national lab network, today with 1,026 labs in the government sector and 617 private labs. 1,643 labs are providing comprehensive testing facilities to the people.
Indian Council of Medical Research, ICMR, has issued a new advisory on COVID-19 testing strategy, allowing testing on demand for individuals. It has also advised testing on demand for all individuals undertaking travel to countries or Indian states mandating a negative COVID-19 test at the point of entry. It said the state governments can simplify the modalities to facilitate testing on demand. The advisory on strategy for COVID-19 testing in India, version 6, said it may be modified as per the discretion of the state health authorities. The advisory has suggested that 100% of people living in containment zones should be tested by rapid antigen tests, particularly in cities where there has been widespread transmission of the infection. Besides, it advised testing all symptomatic individuals with history of international travel in the last 14 days. ICMR has also suggested testing for asymptomatic patients undergoing surgical or non-surgical invasive procedures and all pregnant women who are hospitalized for delivery. It stressed that no emergency procedure, including deliveries, should be delayed for lack of test, and pregnant women should not be referred for a lack of testing facility. Mothers who test positive for COVID-19 should be advised to wear a mask and undertake frequent hand washing while handling their baby for 14 days. They should also be advised on breast cleaning before feeding the neonate. You are listening to the Midday News on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh asserts the actions of the Chinese troops and attempts to unilaterally alter the status quo on line of actual control were in violation of the bilateral agreements. BRICS nations reaffirmed their unwavering commitment to prevent and counter the threat of terrorism on the basis of respect for international law and the UN Charter. President gives away national awards to distinguished teachers, says teachers are the true nation builders who lay the foundation of character building to make students enlightened citizens. President, Vice President and Prime Minister pay tributes to former President Dr. S. Radhakrishnan on his birth anniversary. Information and Broadcasting Minister Prakash Javadekar reiterates the government's commitment to provide more funding for research and innovation. COVID recovery rate reaches 77.23%, and Japanese companies relocating from China to India and Bangladesh to get Japan government's subsidy. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle @AIR News Alerts.
सुनिए संस्कृत जगत से जुड़ी हुई विभिन्न गतिविधियों के साथ आकाशवाणी से प्रसारित विशेष कार्यक्रम संस्कृत साप्ताहिकी अब नए समय पर प्रत्येक शनिवार प्रातः 11:20 से आकाशवाणी के समाचार चैनल FM गोल्ड पर तथा पुनः प्रसारण रविवार प्रातः 11:20 से।
The Tamil Nadu government has enhanced penalties for violation of the mandatory safety protocols. It comes in the wake of opening of almost all economic activities and intrastate travel. Meanwhile, the total caseload of COVID-19 infection in the state has surged to over 4,51,000, with 5,976 people testing positive yesterday. The new cases include 992 in Chennai. A report.
The Unlock 4 removes almost all the restrictions in Tamil Nadu to help the public to resume their economic activities. However, it also necessitates ensuring compliance of the safety protocols and the standard operating procedures so that the pandemic situation does not go out of hands. Keeping this in mind, the penalty for not wearing a mask while coming out has been enhanced to 200 rupees. A government order issued yesterday says non-observance of social distancing, spitting in public places, and failure to follow guidelines in containment zones by individuals will attract a fine of 500 rupees. Violations by commercial establishments and entry of vehicles in containment zones will attract a penalty of 5,000 rupees. The increased penalty is aimed at ensuring public safety, say the authorities, as lowering the bar on safety precautions would perhaps be self-deceptive. Jai Singh, AIR News, Chennai.
In Telangana, 2,511 fresh COVID-19 cases were reported during the past 24 hours, taking the total number of cases reported so far in the state to 138,395. The state also increased its daily COVID tests to over 62,000 yesterday. The recovery rate slightly improved to 75.5%, with 2,579 more persons recovering during the last 24 hours. This took the number of recovered people so far in the state to 104,603. The state reported improvement in recovery rate to 75.5% from 73% last week against the national rate of 77.24%.
In Uttarakhand, with 831 new fresh corona positive cases reported yesterday, COVID-19 tally reached 23,011 in the state. Among those found infected and a BJP MLA and a Shahastra Seema Bal SSB Jawan also. As per health bulletin released last night, 15,447 patients have been recovered so far in the state. There are 7,187 active cases in the state. The recovery rate is 67.13%. Gujarat has recorded more than 1,300 new cases of COVID-19 on the fourth consecutive day. Though Surat and Ahmedabad continued to record the highest number of new cases, the Saurashtra region also reported a spike in new cases since the last few days. More from our correspondent.
Rajkot district reported the highest single-day jump with 162 new cases yesterday. Jamnagar, Bhavnagar and Junagadh districts have also shown rising trend in new cases. Jamnagar district reported 111 new cases yesterday. Bhavnagar district reported 53, while Junagadh district reported 29 new cases. State government has taken a series of steps in this regard. Chief Minister Vijay Rupani and Deputy Chief Minister Nitin Patel had organized a virtual visit to Rajkot Civil Hospital. They reviewed the arrangements made for COVID-19 patients and instructed the district authority to take all precautionary measures. State government had also deputed senior bureaucrats to review the COVID-19 situation in Jamnagar district. Yogesh Pandya, AIR News, Ahmedabad.
Bihar conducted a record number of tests on 150,195 samples for coronavirus infection during the last 24 hours. This is the highest number of tests in a day so far. Over 37,21,000 tests have been conducted in the state so far. In Madhya Pradesh, the total number of corona-positive cases has crossed 70,000. At the same time, more than 53,000 patients have recovered so far. On the other hand, for the convenience of passengers, some passenger buses and trains are also being started in the state from today. More in this report.
For the convenience of passengers, some passenger buses and trains are also being started in the state from today. The movement of passenger buses has also started in the state. The bus operators decided to run buses after the Chief Minister's announcement of waiving the outstanding vehicle tax. On the other hand, for the convenience of the passengers, the Revanchal Express running between Rewa to Bhopal Habibganj station is also starting from today. Trains from Jabalpur to Bhopal will also be run to Indore, as well as a special train between Madan Mahal station of Jabalpur between Rewa and Singrauli. Paritosh Dikshit, AIR News, Bhopal.
Information and Broadcasting Minister Prakash Javadekar today said that the government will give more funding for research and innovation as per the commitment contained in the new education policy, NEP.
Critical thinking is the force and the scientific temperament is the base of this policy. And through this school education, the same is extended logic in the higher education, where we will increase the gross enrollment ratio by 50%. This lays special emphasis on research and innovation. And in research and innovation, we will definitely have new scientists coming up. We today contribute in every innovation world over, but we are not owners of innovation. This new education policy, starting from Atal Tinkering Lab to the Grand Challenge, everything and hackathons and scientific temperament will definitely give boost to the India's Atmanirbhar Bharat campaign.
Speaking at the centenary celebration of Parle Tilak Vidyalaya in Mumbai to express gratitude to the teachers on the occasion of Teachers' Day via video conference, he said, research funding will grow in leaps and bounds as the Modi government is committed for improving and increasing the research fund. He, however, lamented that India spends less than 1% of the gross domestic product on research, whereas other countries spend around 3% of GDP on research and innovation. Mr. Zavadekar said the NEP lays emphasis on foundational and technical literacy. The Japan government has said that it will provide subsidies to Japanese companies that shift their manufacturing setup from China to India and Bangladesh and ASEAN countries. This comes as the world's supply chain was disrupted after the outbreak of COVID-19, which originated in China. The countries have now started mulling on options to either exit from China or at least reduce their dependence on it with respect to trade or other procurements. Japan too aims to decentralize its supply chain by reducing its dependence on a particular country for medical as well as electronic component supply. The Japanese government has allocated 23.5 billion yen in 2020 supplemental budget for the subsidy to encourage companies to disperse their manufacturing sites across the ASEAN region.
In our series on Atmanirbhar Bharat today, we bring you a special story on Indigenous Air Unique Quality Monitoring AUM photonic system for real-time remote monitoring of air quality. Department of Science and Technology's Clean Air Research Initiative has developed this system. The AUM system can identify, classify and quantify various pollutants simultaneously with very high precision, sensitivity and accuracy. It is portable, compact, low-powered and economical and works on plug-and-play system. Unity in diversity is the global identity of India. To celebrate and strengthen this identity, Ek Bharat Shresth Bharat Abhiyan focused campaign is underway in the country. National capital Delhi has been paired with Sikkim under Ek Bharat Shresth Bharat program. Now let us take a look at today's weather update. The national capital Delhi is likely to witness a generally cloudy sky with light rain. Minimum temperature was recorded at 26 degrees Celsius. Maximum will be around 35 degrees. Mumbai will also have generally cloudy sky with light rain. The temperature is likely to hover between 26 and 33 degrees Celsius. Chennai is likely to witness generally cloudy sky with light rain or drizzle. Minimum was 26 degrees Celsius, while the maximum temperature could be around 34 degrees. Kolkata may have a partly cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. Minimum temperature was 27 degrees Celsius, while the maximum is expected to be 34 degrees. On to the north, in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, minimum temperature was recorded at 23 degrees Celsius in Jammu, while maximum will be around 28 degrees. The city will have a mainly clear sky, becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. In Srinagar, temperature will hover between 17 and 21 degrees. The city is likely to have a mainly clear sky, becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening or night. Ladakh will also have a partly cloudy sky. The temperature will hover around 16 and 26 degrees Celsius. In Gilgit, minimum temperature was 14 degrees. Maximum will be around 27 degrees Celsius. The city will have a mainly clear sky, becoming partly cloudy towards afternoon or evening. Muzaffarabad is also likely to have partly cloudy sky with possibility of rain or thunderstorm or dust storm. And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh asserts the actions of Chinese troops and attempts to unilaterally alter status quo of LAC were in violation of bilateral agreements. BRICS nations reaffirm their unwavering commitment to prevent and counter the threat of terrorism on the basis of respect for international law and the UN Charter. President gives away national awards to distinguished teachers, says teachers are true nation builders who lay the foundation of character building to make students enlightened citizens. President, Vice President and Prime Minister pay tributes to former President Dr. S. Radhakrishnan on his birth anniversary. And with that, we end the midday news.